It is a well-documented fact that Stephen A. Smith is renegotiating his contract with ESPN, and his contract is up next year. And there have been a lot of talk about how much money he should get, the terms and conditions of his contract, what he wants to do with his next contract, this, that, and the third. Last month, it was reported that he wants to do more Monday Night Football coverage, and that the individuals who covers Monday Night Football don't really want him there. They don't want the antics. They don't want it. They don't want the sideshow and whatever else that comes with this guy, right? I remember a couple years ago he was on ESPN covering the NFL, and he, for all intents and purposes, stunk up the joint. He was naming players that weren't on teams anymore. Uh, he was name dropping guys who wasn't even playing due to injuries and things of that nature. He was just god awful when it came down to providing NFL content. I mean, he barely does a good job providing NBA content, right? And that's arguable within itself. But when it comes to the NFL, he's just not it. He's just not it. So I was listening to a YouTuber, and on this clip that I'm about to show you, he was being interviewed by Mike Wallace. Now, Mike Wallace has been doing interviews for a long time throughout the various networks. Mike Wallace is on CNN now, and he was supposed to be the face of CNN Plus, but with new management taking over, they didn't see the benefit of running CNN Plus, so it was pretty much a grand opening, grand closing. But nevertheless, Stephen A. Smith was being interviewed by Mike Wallace, and this is what we had to say in regards to his contract negotiations. I want you to take a listen as to how he is trying to leverage what he's worth. Without further ado, DJ, spin
Your
this.
ESPN contract,
Yes, sir,
is what we're told up next year. And the word on the street is that you want something in the range of $100 million for 5 years.
right.
True?
I'm not getting specific as it pertains to numbers because only a fool discusses his own negotiations while negotiating. I would ask respectfully, pay attention to the industry, see what people are getting paid, see how much money they're making and what they're bringing to the table. Dak Prescott just signed a contract for $240 million. He's making $60 million a year. He made sure to get...
I know, he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
Who has won 2 playoff games in 8 years. I've been number 1 for 12. I'm sorry. In our respective industries, I win. And I'm fully aware of what I'm worth. And I will never apologize to that for anybody.
So let me get this straight. You are a Monday morning quarterback that goes on First Take and go on these rambling, screeching tirades about whoever, whatever, whenever. And you're going to compare yourself, Stephen A. Smith. This man is going to compare himself to a guy who actually plays quarterback on Sundays, who has to, throughout the whole week, get maintenance done on his body for injuries, has to sit through team meetings throughout the week, has to do practice and walkthroughs and other things. Or let's not forget the travel aspect, because in the event they have to go on the road. So he has all this to deal with on a weekly basis, and he has to play quarterback for one of the most storied franchises in sports, where he has to call a play, get at the huddle, break the huddle, get to the line, makes his calls his cadence, make an audible and other adjustments at the line based on what the defense is doing. He snaps the ball, he drops back, he's going through his progressions, and he's making the decision of where to distribute the football. And he has to do that on a consistent basis. And most importantly, his decision making is what is going to win his team the game or lose his team the game throughout the season. And it's an extremely hard position to play. So Stephen A. Smith is going to compare that to him sitting behind a desk in front of a camera on a Monday with other ESPN contemporaries, whether it be failed athletes, retired athletes, right? Or other personalities at ESPN. So he gets to play the role of Monday morning quarterback, dissecting and breaking down what happened the day before. And that, in his mind, justifies him getting the money he's looking for. Are you crazy? You know, Stephen A., of all the idiotic things that this man can say, this right here tops the list. This man has lost his mind. I'm really trying to refrain from cussing and really going off, right, and really blowing up, right, because honestly, there's way more important things to talk about than this, right? But having said all that, the fact that this man can sit up here and talk about the people he talks about, whether it be about Kyrie Irving, whether it been about Dak Prescott, whether it been about, putting on his Scrappy-Doo cape for Caitlin Clark. Yeah, because ever since Monica McNutt said what she said about Stephen A., you notice Monica McNutt hadn't really been on First Take. She might have been like 1 or 2 episodes or whatever like that, but you hadn't seen her. We're in the WNBA playoffs. This would be the pristine time for Stephen A. Smith to bring back Monica McNutt, since he quote unquote made her, right? He didn't make anything. He didn't discover anybody. I tell you, man, this dude is a clown. He is a joke. And I don't know how can anybody hold this clown in high regard, man. Of all the soft shooting and tap dancing, and then the pocket watching, right? He don't want nobody counting his money. All the meanwhile, he's sitting up on TV every day counting other people's money. This man is a full-blown hypocrite. He don't want nobody calling him out on his nonsense. All the meanwhile, that's all he does on First Take. And he thinks in his mind that he's worth the money that they're paying him because he was number one for 12 years. In what regard? Just because he holds a certain time slot and then draws like 400,000 viewers? And then when Shannon Sharp left Undisputed to come to First Take, and that number grew even more with Shannon Sharp, I would argue Shannon Sharp is a bigger individual as far as like drawing ratings than Stephen A. Smith. Shannon Sharpe has the bigger YouTube channel. Shannon Sharpe is the one that's the bigger draw. So how if Shannon Sharpe is over there and he's the bigger draw, how can Stephen A. Smith be number one? I got the number one show. Based on what? That's all he talks about. He got the number one show. And we're trying to figure out based on what criteria. Now, you name dropping all these guys that's getting paid more money than him. Look, I wouldn't have a problem with him going out getting his money, right? Because we all looking to get paid, right? Based on what we're doing and how we're doing it. But for this guy, getting paid, whatever you're getting paid to talk shit all day on TV, man, come on, man. Come on, man. Now he wants to cover NFL, Monday Night Football. He was abysmal at that when he did it before. They had him covering UFC. He was even worse than that when he was covering UFC. The way he had to get kicked off that coverage. And then he was covering boxing alongside Teddy Atlas. And, he's trying to project whatever knowledge he had in boxing on to Teddy Atlas. And you could tell Teddy Atlas was getting annoyed by him. But let him tell it. Howard Cosell is his idol. That's who he grew. That's who he wants to be like. Howard Cosell. A white man. Right? But if you follow Stephen A. Smith's profile, if you followed how he moves, that's his MO. He bashes black folks and protects the other folks, right? It's not lost upon me how this dude tried to get Kyrie Irving kicked out the NBA back in 2020, 2021. When Kyrie Irving was given the WNBA his checks so that way they can play. Yeah, Kyrie Irving donated his own money. Did Stephen A. Smith do that? No, he did not. What did Stephen A. Smith do? He was sitting up there trying to call out Kyrie Irving and wag his finger at Kyrie Irving and try to get Kyrie Irving kicked out the NBA. That's what he was doing during the pandemic years. To see when Monica McNutt told him that, he could have been covering the NBA if he wanted to, that really hit a nerve. You had T.O. coming on there telling this man that Max Kellerman was blacker than him. That really hit a nerve. And you didn't see Max Kellerman on TV hardly much after that. And Stephen A. Smith went on every media outlet he can go on to, and he was poking his chest out about why the dynamic between him and Max Kellerman didn't work out. Because he didn't want it to work out. That's why. So let me get this straight. The NFL market and the media market are two completely different industries, right? So we got to pay attention to the industry, see what they're getting paid, and then govern yourself accordingly. Look, the NFL market and the media market are two completely different markets. What in the hell would possess you to compare yourself to Dak Prescott? Now, mind you, this was the same man on the episode of the Tamron Hall show. He sat down there with that long pushback shape up of his. I wake up with two things on my mind. I wake up with how can I make my boss's money, and then how can I get some of it? See, that kind of game he trying to kick to everybody out there in the masses for free 99 will get you to be an employee of the, not as a person who is trying to be a businessman. Because when you're a businessman, you don't kick game like that. That kind of game he was kicking everybody for free 99 will get you how to be an employee of the month. How can I make my boss's money and how can I get some of it? Now he's looking for some deal north of $100 million. Now, I'm not one to be pocket watching anybody, right? Because I sure as hell don't like people pocket watching me. So as far as like the figures going on that stuff, whatever, right? You know, if they pay him that, that's on them. If ESPN wants to pay him the money he's looking for, then that's on them, right? But I find it pretty funny. This dude always pocket watches other people. So what does Dak Prescott making the money he's making got to do with you making the money you're looking for? That's what I want to know. Oh, Dak Prescott only won 200. He makes $200 million. He only won 2 playoff games. So what? So what? But see, that's what this man does, right? When Kyrie Irving put out that tweet or put out a tweet dropping a link, right? That link that he dropped on his personal Twitter account was supposedly so anti-Semitic. Even though the person who wrote the documentary was black, Amazon made money hand over fist over that documentary, and there was no outrage about that. Nobody wanted to confront Ronald Dalton Jr., the guy responsible for making that documentary. So it was okay for Amazon to make money hand over fist, right, off that documentary. Not only they made money hand over fist off that documentary, they jacked up the price of that documentary. But Kyrie Irving had to be the guy that took the fall over that. And who was one of the people leading the charge behind this nonsense about getting Kyrie Irving kicked out the league and getting humbled and all that, right? This guy right here, with this pushback, shape up, looking like a George Jefferson stunt double. That guy right there. Makes no sense, man. When I tell you this guy is a clown, I mean that. This guy is a bona fide sucker. He has no problem shucking and jiving and being a buck dancer. Now you got reports coming out saying that none of these people who work like the other segments of ESPN don't want them nowhere near them. And who can blame them? He made his bed. He gonna lay in that. That's all I gotta say about that, man. Because that what he said was disgusting. And just in case you didn't see what I was talking about, I'm gonna run it back for you one more time. DJ, spin
Your
this.
ESPN contract
Yes, sir.
is what we're told up next year. And the word on the street is that you want something in the range of $100 million for 5 years.
Right.
True?
I'm not getting specific as it pertains to numbers because only a fool discusses his own negotiations while negotiating. I would ask respectfully, pay attention to the industry, see what people are getting paid, see how much money they're making and what they're bringing to the table. Dak Prescott just signed a contract for $240 million. He's making $60 million a year. He made sure to get.
I know, he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
Who has won 2 playoff games in 8 years. I've been number 1 for 12. I'm sorry. In our respective industries, I win. And I'm fully aware of what I'm worth. And I will never apologize to that for anybody.
You just can't make this stuff up. You really cannot make this stuff up. These jokes write themselves. So again, it begs the question. How can you compare yourself to an NFL quarterback who has to make decisions on and off the field? And his decisions on and off the field would be a determining factor on how his team performs on Sunday. But yet you get to come in a studio all throughout the week and get to play Monday morning quarterback. But you win, though. In the eyes of who? Who considers this man a winner? Because my thing is, the people should be able to determine that. Nobody, you shouldn't have to be out here parading yourself like some used car salesman and saying that, well, you know, I win. I'm a winner. I'm number one. To who? You guys let me know what y'all think about this, man. I mean, this dude is beyond delusional. The way he could compare himself to NFL quarterback. If you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure to subscribe button, hit that like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Shouts out to the LDBC. This your man. Scream at me. Hurry!